All right, so we're jumping into the doc with the source of truth questions that I talked about earlier. We're going to take this. I'm going to find a random site on the internet, a brand that I think is cool and that I would like to work with. You can do this for your own brand. You can do this for your clients, however you want to do that. But we're essentially going to take a brand. We're going to find some information from that brand, from their website. If you do a form, like an onboarding form, or you do a questionnaire or a survey for your clients, you can take that information as well. And essentially, what I'm going to show you is how to take that information that you gather and have that information answer the questions that we're asking in this doc here. There's 5 sections with roughly 25 questions. And once you get this information or these questions answered, what you'll have is what I like to call a source of truth. So if there's any questions on messaging, any question on positioning, any question on the customer, you can start here as like the core piece of your marketing. At the core of every message, every asset, every ad, every email you send, these questions will answer what that asset is for. So let's go ahead and dive in. First thing we're gonna do is actually found a website called Grazly. Looks like a pretty cool brand. They're doing a carnivore bundle. They sell bison elk crisps, as well as some looks like beef fed bison tallow balm. So we'll go ahead and use them. The reason I picked them, I was looking around, is they have a great story. So why we started, our origins. So it's 2 brothers who started the company. And essentially what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take all this information here. Should be able to copy all of it. We'll just do it like this. Cool, so that's them. That's meaning Matthew and Michael here. Over here in ChatGPT, this is pretty straightforward. So we're just gonna throw in a prompt. There we go. I'm throwing a prompt here. Please take this why we started info. Help me answer the questions I give you. Here's the info. Wait for the questions. So I'm going to do this in 2 prompts just so that we have some space here. So depending on ChatGPT, if you're using the paid one, at the time of this recording, it's 4.0. I think they just released the mini, 01 mini. Yeah, so I'm using 4.0. 01 mini is actually faster. It's a little bit better. Actually, it's a lot better. But I use 4.0 here. Most people have that. If you're not using paid, you might have to do this in multiple prompts. So I'll go ahead and take this section here. So we'll do step 1 first. We'll pull that. We'll just drop it in ChatGPT and have it answer the questions. Now, the thing you want to keep in mind here is as it answers these questions, you want to go through and make sure that the answers you're getting are actually accurate. You don't want to just blindly take this stuff and run with it because it might not fit exactly what you're doing. So we'll go and take this mission, brand, ideal customer, unique value in the market. We'll pop this over into this section. We're not going to read through this in detail, but we'll look for some things here. I read through their stuff, so I have an idea. Promote healing and optimal health by sharing benefits of nose to tail lifestyle. Okay, that's good. Embracing an evolutionary aligned gut nourishing diet. Lead transformative healing. Cool, that's good. Health and healing, core values: health and healing, integrity and authenticity, sustainability, education, empowerment, community, and support. Perfect. Ideal customer: struggling with chronic health issues, autoimmune or modern health challenges. Okay, there's your problems or pains, challenges. Who are they? They're health conscious, who's seeking natural, holistic approaches to healing. Great. They value clean, toxin-free eating, and it's frustrated with the current medical solutions they rely on, heavy pharmaceuticals. Great. Cool. And the unique value in the market. So this one's actually a gold miner here. This stuff is pretty common from like a brand guide. So mission of the brands, the core values of the brand, it's actually essentially how the brand exists in the world, right? How people see the brand. And then the ideal customer, pretty straightforward. But this unique value in the market is where you're going to find some either mechanisms or unique positions or different ways to talk about the same stuff that maybe everybody else is talking about. So just keep that in mind. Dig into this unique value in the market piece. Rooted in personal healing stories, deep commitment to nose to tail, is not widely embraced by mainstream media products. So there you go. You have some conflict, right? You have some contrast of what's being pushed in the media and the mainstream, but also to how this is actually, this way of eating, the way they're suggesting with their products, is different and in some cases demonized, right? So you have some contrast, you have some conflict. That's a great thing to have. And it keeps people, it has people pay attention because there's conflict, right? If there's no friction, there's no attention. So just focus on general wellness. This brand caters to people who want to follow evolutionary evolutionarily appropriate diet. That's a unique thing there too. Evolutionarily appropriate diet. Not only that, that may seem kind of bland at first, but you're taking a stance, right? You're taking, this is what we believe to be true. And that alone will attract and deter people. And that's great. So regenerative meats, organs, toxin-free ingredients, holistic approach to wellness. That's pretty common, but in this angle, in this case, you can maybe lean on that. Authenticity, transfer, and dedication to education, further differentiating from the other. Okay, so yeah, the evolutionarily appropriate diets, and then the not embraced by mainstream health practices or products. Right, those are the two like main unique values in the market or positions we could take with this. Okay, cool. So there's that. Dividing voice and tone. So something here. This is a starter. This is a starting point for this. Voice and tone, depending on the brands and depending on what kind of content they have, because you can take YouTube videos of talking heads or interviews and things and use that for voice and tone too. That works pretty well. But if you need a baseline of just what to tell people of, hey, aim for this, this is a great section to do it. So we're going to say, cool, continue this process, answer these questions. Don't let AI do the work for us here. So yeah, AI is essentially useless unless you know how to think. If you don't know how to think or be a tastemaker or discern what is good and bad, AI is a useless tool for you. And I'll stand by that. That's a hill that I probably will die on, is you need to be able to think and discern what is good and bad and what you should and shouldn't do with what AI gives you, or else it's going to be useless to you. So cool. So how do you want your audience to feel when they interact with brands? Yep. Awesome. We'll go through this here in a second. That's a good output. Oops. Clean this up. Perfect. All right, so let's go check this out. Inspired, empowered, and supported. That's how you want them to feel when they engage with your brand. That's a great position and a great thing to ask. Is your voice and tone is great because that's how you speak and communicate with people, like how you communicate and speak with them, but how you want them to feel after, during, before, ideally, but during and after they engage with your brand. How do you want them to feel? That will guide your marketing assets and how you do things way more than being friendly or authoritative or encouraging or empowering or whatever, right? Because you're actually considering the customer in the communication. The internet in and of itself, unless you're doing a Zoom call, if you're doing marketing, if you're doing a white paper, whatever, it's a one-sided communication, right? It's one-sided engagement. So having them come away from your assets feeling a certain way, that's how you develop brand. That's how you develop a relationship with that one-sided communication piece. Okay. So they should feel welcomed into the community, educated about the benefits of no-style lifestyle, leaving them motivated to take control of their health. That's a solid one right there. Feeling motivated to take control of their health. So yeah, there's a good thing there. And then the adjectives you describe the brand's voice. So how are you going to help people feel this way is essentially what this means. You're going to be friendly. You're going to be authoritative. So you speak from personal experience and knowledge, offering trusted science-backed information. So I have a personal story that helped, and I have science to back up why this worked for me. So encouraging, empowering, authentic. These adjectives are how you're going to help people feel this way about your brand. Okay. So being friendly just because you're friendly, with your voice and tone without some purpose of like, I want you to feel inspired, empowered, and supported. It's not going to get you it's not going to get you a lot, really anywhere. You need to know what you want them to feel like so you know how to be friendly with your words and your assets and things that you're making online. What tone best suits your communication style? It says here, nurturing, compassionate, direct and educational, and hopeful and encouraging. So those are great. Nurturing and compassionate might be something we massage or change, because the friendly, authoritative, and authentic, this can go a few different directions, right? So like friendly, authoritative, and authentic, you might be able to be humorous and poke fun at people and just say, hey, you've been living this way for 20 years. Why haven't you changed yet? That's a little direct, but you could probably make jokes around that and just like, hey, you've tried before, let's try again. Or you can be more compassionate or just more emotionally driven with your words. So just take a grain of salt with the words that AI gives you here. It's a good starting point, but make sure you actually comb through and say, okay, what does friendly mean? What does authoritative mean? What does encouraging mean? And how does the tone we take, nurturing, compassionate, like we understand that you're going through this. A lot of people have, you're not the only one, things of that nature, obviously, but just make sure that these things match up, right, for your brand. And then what do you want to avoid? So this is something I see a lot. I see missing in a lot of brand guides, or even just similar guides like this one, is what to avoid. Don't say this, don't say that, don't sound this way, don't make people feel this way. This is a big deal because you can, for example, the humor example, being nurturing and compassionate, humor, it can be involved in being nurturing and compassionate. But if you take it too far, or you do something that kind of steps over a line somewhere that you haven't defined, you could sound, you could sound condescending, right? You could sound like you're fear mongering them, right? You're trying to scare them into a decision because you're making fun of them, or you're making fun of the situation they're in, right? So definitely know where these lines are and know what to avoid when you're actually communicating through your marketing assets. Cool. Words, something else here, words and phrases that feel too corporate, distant, or impersonal. So slang, colloquialisms, different words that idioms, things like that. Use that type of language. Use conversational language. So the instead of it saying that feel too corporate, distant, or impersonal, be like make it conversational is another way to say that. But this is saying what to avoid. So don't do those things, right? So the voice tone section here for the brand. This is probably going to be, in most cases, probably the most discussed piece of this entire source of truth, because what somebody believes is inspiring from person to person in your team or even in the industry is going to be different, right? So one person thinks that a success story from somebody who changed their life because of how they ate is inspiring. Another person could believe that because somebody resisted something, that's inspiring, right? So there's different ways to interpret this, and this is probably going to be the most discussed section in your team is this voice and tone, because it is a little more abstract, and it is something that people bring their own context to the conversation, and you can actually change. These words can change based on who's actually creating the assets. So have those conversations, sit down with people, have them create assets based on what they read here, and then say, cool, this is what I mean by inspired. This is empowered. That's a good example. This is a bad example. Another way you can do it too is link to assets that actually represent this voice and tone, so people have examples to read from. So cool. Next, and this will solidify the voice and tone too, is just the brand and style. So we'll go ahead and jump over here to AI again. Continue process, answer these questions. Cool. Minimalist and natural, grounded and authentic, modern, with an approachable, health-conscious vibe that appeals to today's wellness-oriented audience. Okay. What emotions you want them to feel? Trust, confidence, empowerment, calm and reassured, inspired. And then do you prefer short, punchy mission or more detailed storytelling? A balance of both. So a lot of brands will say a balance of both, but what you'll find is depending on the asset or part of the funnel that you're actually creating marketing for, this is going to change, right? So if you do top of funnel Facebook messaging, you're probably going to stick more with the story side of things. You're going to stick with more benefit side of things. You're going to stick with more of the emotional side of things because you're trying to get people's attention to speak to them about their problems. You're not going to be able to, in most cases, you're not going to be able to sell to them right off the top of them saying, oh, I have a problem. You say, cool, I have a solution, let's buy. Some people will, and they're in the position to do that, but most of them won't top of funnel. So being more storytelling, being more conversational, being more educational and inspiring in that sense can be super beneficial to how you do things. So being punchy and messaging and more detailing. Punchy messaging, unless your brand is like a Ryan Reynolds, irreverent and just really to the point humor, great, do that all the way through. If you're helping people, selling people a vision, storytelling helps because it gives people a frame or a box to actually see through and see, and like a lens to see through. So it really just depends. So yeah, there's that. Cool. So there's that info. We'll throw this in the guide. We're on the source of truth here. Drop that in. We already talked through it, so we won't do that again. Positioning in the market. This is probably my favorite because getting ideas for this, depending on how well you know your market, how well you know your customer, you may see this and go, cool, there's some ideas here, or we're already doing this. So just keep that in mind. But this is definitely one of my favorites because taking a stance and positioning yourself in the market is one of the is an authoritative thing to do. It's something to say, hey, this is what we stand for. You're planting your flag, and you have to back that up. And that's what people attract to and deter from is based on how you back that stance up and how you back that position up. Also, differentiating yourself, your brand, and your products from what's in the market already is a huge deal. That's where you can get a lot of attention because you're different in some type of way. Being better at something isn't always the best thing to do. Being different actually can get you more attention. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at this positioning stuff. Let's take a peek at what AI gave us here. Trusted expert and thought leader. Okay, that's fine. Authenticity and credibility. Yep. So you're authentic and you tell your story, but having studies to back it up and say, hey, this is the proof. That's going to help a ton. Position ourselves as experts to understand the challenges our customers face. So this is different. So not experts in a given area, like an area of study or area of expertise, like say a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, but an expert who understands the challenges of that your customers face, because they already, the brand and the owners already went through it themselves, right? They already went through the challenges of these certain things from their story, and they're experts on saying, hey, I know what you're going through. I know what you're dealing with. I know what you're struggling with. Let's connect. And by the way, this is something that can help you. So keep that in mind when you read through this. Is just find those little positions and different ways to look different in the market. Is going to help. Who are your main competitors? Health supplements, functional foods, or clean eating lifestyles. Okay, what they do well: high quality, nutrient dense products. Some do a great job of creating communities around their dietary philosophies. Okay, what they fall short: personal authenticity and deep rooted connection. That's storytelling, right? Some of these brands don't actually have a story behind it. They're just selling a product, right? They're selling a solution to a problem, which is fine. That's great. They're adding value to the market and people are buying it and it's helping them. But this is a gap that this brand, Grassley, can actually step into with their brand and their mission and their story. Okay. Holistic lifestyle guidance is what IAI calls it. I'd probably call it something different, but that's what they came up with. Some competitors rely on trendy, healthy solutions that don't address long-term sustainable healing or focus on the importance of toxin-free regenerative lifestyle. So yeah, the healthy trend solutions, whatever those may be in a given quarter, year, or a couple years, whatever it may be, that's what those brands focus on. So that's something you can stand out and say, hey, no matter what the trend is, this is healthy no matter what. Like, this is a optimal human piece of food. Like, you should be eating this no matter what. So that is a position in the market, right? Biggest misconception. Okay, so healing from autoimmune or chronic health requires complex solutions or pharmaceuticals. That's a great misconception to talk about. It's like, sometimes you don't need to micromanage your body. You just need to give it what it needs to actually take care of itself. Your body's evolved over this many years. Why are we trying to micromanage it at the cellular level? Why don't we just give it what it needs and let it do its thing? It created it, and so I won't go deeper into that, but that's a way you can position yourself, right? Restrictive or extreme. So there's restrictive or extreme idea of a nose to tail lifestyle of rejecting 90%, 95% of what's actually being sold to you as food. Can seem pretty extreme, but what people don't realize is it's pretty extreme to actually eat such a variety of food. The ability to eat so many different types of foods and giving your body that much, and it doesn't do a whole lot for you. That's a position in the market, right? That's a misconception that you can try, you can actually hopefully show people, right? Cool. So there's that. Eating organs, regenerative meats is difficult or unappealing, but it's enjoyable, life changing. Okay. How do you want your customer to feel after purchasing your product or service? This is similar, kind of the brand and tone stuff. It's how you want to feel with your brand, how you want to feel after they buy. Empowered and hopeful. They want to trust. They want to feel confident in it, and they want to be part of a community. So those are big deals. You can build your business around making sure the customer feels this way after they purchase something from you, right? That's a huge deal. And then authenticity and alignment. Let's do step 5 here, and I'll show you these what's next and how to use these. We won't go too much longer here. Cool. Personal values and life goals, health, integrity, and sustainability, sharing knowledge, supporting others, and promoting natural healing. It's great. What does success look like for you in terms of how people view and experience your brand? Beacon of trust and healing, source of empowerment, real results and genuine care. In one sentence, how would you summarize the heart of your brand? Empower people to take control of their health through a natural, evolutionary lifestyle, rooted in authentic personal journeys and commitments to regenerative, nutrient-dense foods. That's a great way to summarize this brand. So, there's that information. So, what do you do with this? Let's look at that. Let's replace this. Let's drop this in here. So, you have all this information here. You're going to come through it, read through it, make sure it's actually accurate and represents your brand appropriately. You can either write, delete, modify, change on your own, or you can have ChatGPT or whatever AI model you're using to help you with this. But essentially, you're just kind of setting the foundation for basically what your marketing assets are going to be created from, right? There's going to be a baseline that you follow based on these things, this information, this source of truth. And then you give it to your team, train them on it, talk them through it, give them examples of what does this look like in the real world? What does it not look like? What does it actually look like? And then from there, you can start basically spreading this across the team so that the voice, tone, brand, experience, all that is similar and relatively the same per customer, so that no matter what touch point they hit inside your brand with your ads, to your emails, to your SMS, to your customer service, to anything, they feel like it's the same experience, right? It's the same connection no matter who they speak to or what asset they encounter, right? So there's 3 things you want to do here next. You want to basically create a brand guide or a source of truth out of this. So a lot of people call this a brand guide. We call this a source of truth. It's similar, but the one thing you want to do is document all of the above in a clear and organized format so people can consume it easily. This right here is not going to be easily consumed. People are going to skip over this. They're not really going to read it. And you can't really reference this, right? Like if you're writing an ad, you're like, oh, I need to know. I mean, maybe the adjectives will help, but like you're going to have to read this whole thing, which is roughly 4.5 pages, 5 pages, to get an understanding of the brand. Can you synthesize and make it more clear, more organized, so people can just pop in, look at it, say, cool, I got the idea, I got the connection point I need for the brand, and then run with that. So I mentioned this earlier, but provide examples. Provide examples of ads, provide examples of emails, provide examples of website copy, of print copy, anything that you have that shows this source of truth in action, in the real world, in the wild. Show that to people so that they have an idea, they have a reference point of saying, okay, this was approved, let's aim for that. And then again, mention this, I'll say it again one more time for the third piece, training. You want to train the people on this. You want to have them create some assets and then go through the process of you reviewing and go through the process of getting them dialed in and aligned with what this source of truth is actually doing for them with the assets and how they can actually use it. If you just say, hey, BCC all, send to everybody, this is where we need to create our assets from moving forward, you're going to have some issues because one, this section right here is going to be interpreted slightly different by everybody in your company based on what they think inspired, empowered, and supported actually means to them, right? The context they bring to this definition and what you're trying to get them to do. So having a training session, having people create assets, doing a higher engagement cycle of getting people working through this together on your team. And then once they can do it without you having to change much or even change anything at all, you can set them free and say, hey, cool, run with it. You got it. You've got the voice and the tone and the brand, how we want the customer to feel. You've got it dialed in. So make sure you train people. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know.